You guys are so awesome. Thank you for being so flexible.
Okay, we're recording.
All righty. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. So Michael asked me to demonstrate something that we use at our institution frequently. For those of you who this may be your first meeting or you may have missed the last meeting, my name is Billy Stevenson. I am a senior business operations analyst and change management practitioner for University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, where we have a hospital, a academic center, and a research facility. And so Microsoft has really been a absolute blessing, specifically because we have so many different aspects of our business, from accounting to research to health, and then there's so many rules. We've got FERPA over here for students, and healthcare HIPAA over here for hospitals. And what we love about Microsoft is they're a consummate business partner because they're willing to take care of us, extremely secure, and we always are able to get what we need from the tools. So one of those tools that me and Michael were talking about is called Power Virtual Agents. So we recently did some revamping around our ERP at UT Southwestern. And when we did that, there was quite a bit of work that needed to be done around how people could ask questions. We don't have a robust support for when we make these huge, like $50, $100 million changes to our software. So Power Virtual Agents became a real benefit because it allowed us to offload some of the questions and some of the comments and things that we needed to get. People usually were relying on people for or reading. There's that in between, allowing Microsoft's robust artificial intelligence and machine learning knowledge to really help offload some of that work from our employees. So I'm going to show you today some things about Power Virtual Agents, but first, I need your help. I need you take your hands like this. I know you're like, my camera's off. I'm not doing this. Just humor me. It's 28 degrees outside. It's 2021. We've been through a pandemic. Let's just have fun. Take your hands and put it right here around your head. And I want you to take off any fear or concern or worry you have around artificial intelligence, machines, and bots. I want you to forget everything that you know. I know it can be very daunting. I'm pretty technical myself. And when Michael said he wanted me to do this, I was like, what? Bots? Chat bots? Coding? Oh my gosh. I want you to just trust me. Give me 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes to go through these 4 slides. And I feel that you'll be a little bit more comfortable. And then I'll prove to you that you can do it. Last time we talked about some automation capabilities, and everybody was nervous at first, and then everybody was able to make a form and automate it. So I want you to trust me on this journey today. So Power Virtual Agents, what is it? So let's do some definitions. Power Virtual Agents is a no-code or low-code web application, as well as a discrete application for Microsoft Teams that uses robust machine learning and artificial intelligence to build chatbots. A little bit earlier in the 2000s, when somebody said something was smart, it meant you had to be smart to use it. But in today's world, especially in the Microsoft ecosystem, it's so smart that it can help you use it. And so that's what we're going to see today. How to create chatbots that are smart, that I don't have to go and do all this coding for. I don't have to teach it every single word or every single sentence. It can think as far as I need it to. It never goes to sleep and is always ready to answer questions and make sure your business runs smoothly. So let's get to what you want to know. What are the benefits? Why should I care? I need you to get to this pretty quickly, Billy, because chatbots and AI are not my thing. Well, let's talk about it. The first thing is leveraging the entire Power Platform. Power Automate, Power Apps are 2 of my favorite tools. Power BI, our entire organization is using it, and Microsoft is really empowering, pun intended, its users when using these platforms. Learning how to automate things and make things happen while you sleep, learning how to get things analyzed and visualized and making sure that happens while you work, and now getting questions and concerns answered and sending information to your internal and external customers for you while you do something else is a really easy way to get the extra hands that we all need when we work in state and local government. So that's the first thing. It's going to leverage those entire things. You're going to be able to use automation. You're going to be able to get reporting from Power BI. You're going to love it. The next thing is knows who users are. And I know that's probably not the best English, but that's exactly what I want you to know. It knows who your users are. When they log in, when they've talked to the chatbot before, when they've given you information, and my favorite, when you use it in Microsoft Teams, because you're logged into Microsoft Teams, they're already in that system. And Microsoft is allowing the power of virtual agents to leverage that ecosystem. And so now it knows that person. I can use the name and make it more personal. Thirdly, it's going to leverage Microsoft's robust AI ML. AI is artificial intelligence, the ability to think, and then machine learning is the ability for the machines to learn. It's going to use all of that data. Think about how big Microsoft is. Think about how much it knows about this, and it's bringing it to bear with this tool very easily. It can be pushed to the entire organization, which means it can be pinned to your Teams page. And lastly, it provides up-to-date reporting in that actual application. And so what that means is when my business is looking to benefit from the chatbot, it's going to be able to automate FAQ pages. There's actually a segment where you can import your FAQ page and use that as the intelligence for this bot. So it can answer questions effectively, and then it'll read it and be able to think for you. Okay, well, I've seen this and I've seen this, so they're probably talking about that. And it'll say, is this what you mean? Yes or no? And do actions on that. Automating your knowledge base is key. Answering common questions. How often are you getting calls, internally or externally, about the same thing? Or here it is, benefits time. It's time to renew your benefits. And you know you're going to get 1,000 calls about these benefits, the same ones every day, every single year. Let PVA help you with that. Let your chatbot help you with that. Capturing and forwarding information. In the demo today, you're going to see some places where if somebody asks this question, they need to fill this out first. Or if somebody asks this question, an actual person needs to help with that. I'm going to show you how PVA can push that for you. It'll get in contact with that person, make sure they have the information, and it gets to them. And all the while, I want you to remember, this is a no-code, low-code option. You can process map, if you can write, if you can copy and paste, you can do this. I promise you can do this because Microsoft is going to empower you to do so. And lastly, the data analysis is key. The fact that all of the questions that are being answered and the things people are coming to find out the most from this chatbot, Microsoft's robust, powerful Power BI analysis and analytics on the back end is going to help you understand that so you can act on it. So everybody who's on this call has the ability to raise your hand. I want you to raise your virtual hand if you are willing to go a little bit further and see some, oh, the hands are already flowing up. If you're willing to go a little bit further in this demonstration and see it in action, I want to show it to you in action, and I'm gonna give you a very small piece that shows you how easy it is to make, and we're gonna be done. And we're gonna see what Michael Kennedy's t-shirt says, because I'm intensely interested in that somehow. So give me 1 second while I share my screen and we will jump right in. This is gonna be so good. I cannot wait to show you. Alrighty, here it comes. It's sharing, and I'm gonna give it a couple of seconds so that I know that you can see it before we jump into it. So I am in our bot that Michael Kennedy and I kind of set up for a demo today. And one of my favorite demonstrations is showing how it can support your HR. I think that's really, really powerful. So today I am going to be a student, and I am a student and an employee of Contoso Consulting. And what I want to do today is I have a couple of questions. It's about time for me to start figuring out how I am going to do my tuition reimbursement. And so I have a couple of questions for this bot about that. So I came to our HR support bot. You see it's already pinned here. I didn't have to do anything but click it. It's already in my toolbar, which is really powerful. That means that all of our employees have this bot pinned right here to the left. And that's done by our admin. So I have some questions about tuition. You may say, okay, how is he going to have to frame this question? My name is Billy Stevenson, and I'd like to get information about tuition reimbursement. I'm going to ask a very simple question. What's the deal? I just don't have time for all these other questions. I want to know, what is the deal with paying for school? Can somebody tell me? And the bot understood what I was asking. I can help you with tuition assistance questions. And then it's basically saying, how nuanced do you want to get here with this question? So I want to know, how do I enroll in tuition assistance? And I click that question, you see that adaptive question, and it's already responding. To enroll in tuition reimbursement, or assistance, you will need to schedule an appointment with an HR representative. Describe the situation. And I'll send the details, sure. Okay, I am a new employee and I am finishing my semester and would like to enroll. Is it too late? Alrighty, so I obviously need to talk to a person about this. So I'm gonna send this information. Usually I would have to send an email. Maybe I'm thinking it's gonna, it knew my, wait, who's Addie? So in this organizational, this Contoso Consulting, that's my name, Addie Administration. For those of you who are quick on your feet, you know that's really administration, which is the name of the demo account, but we're gonna go with Addie. So it knew my name, my first name and my last name, and even got my hyphen right, which humans can't do very often, so that's good news. So somehow, someone from the HR will contact you soon regarding the enrollment process. Did I? Yeah, you absolutely answered my question, great. That quick. Oh, can I rate my experience? Sure. It was the best, literally. So really great information, very easy. No, thanks. That wraps up my question. Wow. So that was super quick. So that was one simple demonstration of an interaction with the chatbot. It wasn't clunky. It was easy. I understood it. I hope you understood it. But what did it do on the back end? Because it says I need to talk to a person. So again, my favorite thing about Microsoft is this. When you use one Microsoft tool, you're pretty much using them all. They bring to bear the entire ecosystem of Microsoft. So since this bot is in Teams, I have the ability to weave in what's going to happen and utilize Teams for that benefit. So now that you've seen what happens from the student's point of view, let's look at what happens from the HR representative's point of view. So as an employee of the HR department of Contoso, we have a department Teams. It's called Contoso. And in that department Teams, I have a channel dedicated to human resources where all human resources people are involved and logged in. And what you see is, does that name look familiar, everyone? Addie Administration, remember that was that student that you just watched fill out some information. And it looks like, how do I enroll in tuition assistance? Addie Administration needs help. And here is a detail about what happened and what questions I submitted. And so that was a really easy flow to show you how I, as a student, asked a question, the bot answered my question and notified the person who needed to be able to answer it. That's a lot of administrative function that you usually have to pay a person to do, or could be a little bit stressful, and it did it all for me. So there's some other functions that I want to show you too, but the last thing I want to show you, you've seen it from the customer or the student point of view, you've seen it from the employee or the HR representative point of view. I want to show you from the back end. How did I do this? How can you do this? Or how can your team do this? And how easy it is. So the first thing you need to know is Power Virtual Agents is an application. Those 3 dots, the ellipsis there. I'll type in Power Virtual Agents, but I've already done it. So here's the application. And when I click it, it's going to open it right in Teams. I don't have to go anywhere. And so the first thing I love about the design of Power Virtual Agents is it starts with training. 5 minutes is the expectation. I don't need to use any code. Watch this video to see what I'm talking about. And here's some more information if you need some assistance. Here's actually a quick start for the HR bot you just saw. The HR bot you just saw can click here and get it started really easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the chatbot we've already created and break down what's happening in the background. Okay. So I'm going to open my chatbot. I only have one, and it's the HR support chatbot. So I'm going to go in there. So there's a few things I want you to know. You kind of got an overview of the concepts ahead of time. I want to revisit those things. The first thing I want you to know is something called topics. I want to talk to you about the topics that your bot is smart enough or educated on to answer. So I'm going to go to topics. Once I create a topic such as tuition reimbursement, I can then use what's called trigger phrases. But before I get there, you'll notice, I want you to know that I built tuition assistance. Michael and I built tuition assistance topic. The other topics that you see here are topics that already come interwoven with the chatbot. These are lessons so you can see how chatbots work, and then the smart things like how to say hi, how to say bye, what do I say when it's done, if something worked or something didn't. Those things are already interwoven into the bot. So those are things you don't even have to worry about. If you were building one from scratch, you'd have to write all of these things. But what I want you to know is Microsoft's done the work for you, so a lot of it's plug and play. So the new thing I wanted to introduce is tuition assistance, which you just saw. The next thing you need to know is, as far as topics, here are the topics that the bot can talk about. The second thing is, how does the bot know to start talking about those topics? That's called trigger phrasing. So for trigger phrasing, I'll click here and you'll see what happens. So the suggestion for PVA, and why I love it, is if this was a regular chatbot from some other company, I have to tell it every single sentence and every single word, and I have to use this weird coding to tell it. And so it can know what happens when every single question is asked. I don't have to do that with Microsoft's PVA chatbot. All I got to do is feed it 5 or 10 sentences, 5 or 10 sentences. It'll read those 5 and 10 sentences, see the similarities, see the difference, see the topics, see the conversations, and it starts to think and understand what humans understand, which is intent. I need to understand the intent of the question that is being asked in order for me to respond, not just the words. And this is where Microsoft's robust artificial intelligence and machine learning comes into play. We use all of the things we've learned at Microsoft and put it into your fingertips with this bot. So 5 or 10 sentences, and now it kind of knows what I want it to know. So that's the first thing I want to show you. The second thing is, I've got my topics, I've got my trigger phrases. Now I need to tell it what I want it to do. This is called authoring. And if I hover right here over the tuition assistance topic, I can click what's called the authoring canvas. Real fancy way of saying, what is my process flow? Voila, here's my process flow. So I'm starting, remember we did power automation last time, so I'm gonna build a little bit on that knowledge. This should look pretty familiar to you if you watched our last demonstration. It's almost identical to the power automate flow setup, right? And it's the same thing. You have these cards and these actions that you can take and a predetermined flow. So here I have my trigger phrases, but the next question is, what do you want me to do with them? So when I get a trigger phrase, what do you want to kick off? So when I click this plus sign, I have a couple of options I can add, and it's this simple, I promise. So literally, what do you want it to do? You want it to ask a question. Is there a particular action you want to call to? Maybe in Power Automate. Do I want to create a flow? Do I want to send an adaptive card, which is the card you saw with the information? Do I want to just show a message, or do I want to actually end the survey? Here are my actions. Very simple, plain words. So in this particular instance, we've said, I want to start with the message just to clarify that I got what the person needed. So there's the message. And then let's ask them a question. There's the question. So what other information are you looking for? And then you have a choice on how they answer. Tons of choices, tons of information. There are things called, don't get scared. Just go with me here. There's a thing called an entity. It's just simply kind of categorizing the responses or categorizing the words, saying the data that comes from here is probably going to be a city because I'm asking about a city, so put it here. Or telling it to respond with that information. So what do you know, PVA? What do you know, chatbot, about city? Let's leverage some of that data. So what do you know about cities? This question is going to have to do about cities. So let me pull that city entity dictionary and let me go in there, and so it can start to match those things. You can also build your own. Let's pretend I just got my floors done, y'all, so we can go with this. I run a hardware flooring company. And so I can build an entity or a group of information about hardware floors. So I can tell it what vinyl is, I can tell it what wood is, I can tell it what linoleum is, I can tell all of this information so the bot knows and uses that data when it's being asked. But I don't want to scare you too much, right? I said simple, so I'm gonna go simple. Multiple choice. You pick multiple choice options, and then you put the multiple choice in there. It's just like building a quiz in forms, which we did last week. And finally, whatever this information is, tell me what that variable is. Well, tell me something about the variable. So I want you to pull some of that information. And then my favorite thing about the programming is conditions. So what I've done is I've said, here are the 4 options to the user. And the next actions that you're going to take, me talking to the chatbot, the next actions I want you to take is I want you to do this condition if the person picks option A. I want you to do this if the person says option B. I want you to do this if the person says option C. I want you to do this if the person says option D. Very easy. I say if the if the option that they selected is equal to this question, then this is what I want to happen. I want you to send this message. So in this particular case, if somebody asks me how do they check on the status of the reimbursement, well, I know that is not in Teams. It's on my website that I spent so much money to build and have people maintaining. I don't need to migrate everything from that website over to Teams. I can just point them to the website. Click here, log in, and click on reimbursement status, and then end the conversation because it's that easy. This is what I want you to do if I ask, how do I get reimbursed for tuition? Here's a whole step-by-step, something that somebody would have to do on the phone, something somebody would have to do on an email, they can just do automatically with this bot. And then this one is pretty familiar. How do I enroll in the tuition program? And I need to schedule an appointment with an HR person. In this particular option, I want to ask a question. And this one is the user's entire response. It's a fancy way of saying open field. So here's the open field. This is actually a Power Automate tool that's pre-built. Remember earlier I told you can click the plus sign, call an action, and then choose to send an adaptive card. That's all we did. And we put in the information that we wanted them to know. One of the things I want you to notice is the thing that says display name, because I can pull the display name because that data is in Microsoft Teams because that person is logged in. And you saw that very personal conversation that this bot had with me and used that information with the adaptive card that was sent to HR. So I'm running a little low on time, so I'm going to stop here so we can have some questions. But I wanted to show you how easy it is to go in, build a process map, essentially is what this is, and have this bot start to learn from what happens and start to do this on your back end. Now, you may want to know, well, Billy, how do I know what's going on with this bot? Last thing I want to show you on the left-hand side, analytics. If you got business operations or analyst anywhere in your title or in your description of your organization, then you're going to love this. Some of this font should look familiar to you if you are familiar with Power BI. And so it's using this to get some information from you. Really quickly, I'm going to go high level on what some of this is. Total sessions, how many sessions have happened? What does that engagement look like? How much are people finishing? Are we answering their questions? Are we having to escalate things? How many people are starting and they're not finishing with the bot conversation? And then also I can dig in and see where they're stopping so that I can build that out or learn that that's another action I need to add. And then of course, my customer satisfaction with the bot performance. I can see my sessions over time. I can see my engagement over time, and I can see what my resolution rate drivers are. What are the things that are driving my resolutions and my escalation? Right now, I only have one topic, but maybe you'll have 6 or 7. This is a really great way to see which of those things are the best and what's driving it, and which of those things you can probably build out or push into it. You also have robust customer satisfaction data. And then, of course, you can look at your exact sessions. We don't have that available yet, but you can pull down the session and watch the actual progression through each one of those flows. So there's a ton of things. And if you are a company that builds or a agency that bills people, then you can also take a look at your billing here and have that interwoven into your bot as well. So I'm just really excited about the ability to have something so robust as Power Virtual Agents at my fingertips, something that's really easy for me to build or my team to build, and to know that it's all going to be safe, secure, and easy to use in my Microsoft ecosystem. So I hope I didn't go too technical on you today. Literally, Microsoft has the best tools, and I hope I just proved that to you. And I want to stop here for any questions. I see some hands up, but I don't know if those are holdovers. Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts? All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to lower the hands we have, and I want to take a poll. If you learned or saw something today that you think your organization would benefit from, even if it was small, please raise your hand. Oh, they're flying up. This is so good. Y'all, I was so nervous about this presentation because I know it's highly technical, but I was so passionate about it because it is absolutely amazing that Microsoft gives us the capability to do these things. Like, really think about that. You're talking about tens of thousands of dollars for the tool, tens of thousands of dollars for the data, tens of thousands of dollars for the person to code it and make it. And Microsoft's done all of that for you in your ecosystem, in the thing you're using every day. So I want to encourage you to not just not just hear this presentation, you can also go to YouTube or Microsoft and see tons of videos about PVA in action and some of its other capabilities. But I hope these last two demonstrations have encouraged you to play around and learn more about Power Platforms. That's the real win. That's the lesson here. So I want to encourage you to go and explore in your Power Platforms. We're going to pass it over to Michael Kennedy.
Uh-oh, did we lose Michael
I
again?
lost him again. It's the power in the house. It's the power in the house. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, and y'all let me know if I'm garbled. So I can join from am I garbled?
It's a little bit skippy, so maybe turn off your microphone.
Okay?
It's a little bit skippy, so maybe turn off your microphone and your camera on Teams and use your phone for that. That probably would be beneficial because you can use your cellular service.
Give me 1 second here. Flying without a net.
Everybody
Gotta
love
love it.
technology.
Love it. Must say I love it.
Fine with bad weather.
I promise you he would not be having this issue if Microsoft offered Wi-Fi or cellular service, because that would be popular too. Man, they need to offer power too. Like if they were the power company too, we wouldn't have these problems. Everything works smoothly with Microsoft. So I don't know who the power is, but it's clearly not Microsoft Corporation. Oh, wow.
Michael, you're muted right now.
Okay. Are y'all able to hear me?
Perfectly, flawlessly.
Okay. All right. I am going to, actually, I'm going to go double ears in with my AirPods here. Okay. And then let me come back into the meeting. So I did actually join from via the data plan with my mobile phone, but I could have dialed into the audio conferencing bridge. A lot of y'all have taken care of the audio conferencing promo. If you have not heard, it has been extended until June. And what that means is that you are still able to get free audio conferencing from Microsoft that is integrated into Teams at no cost for the duration of your enterprise agreement. So if that means, if you are one of the DCS agencies, that means the next 3 years of audio conferencing is free. So I think in these days and time where we're all trying to save money for taxpayers and make our money go as far as we can for our agencies, then it's a nice benefit to be able to have free audio conferencing, and it's integrated. So it's okay. So let me just do a technology check. Are y'all able to see me fine, hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So what I'm going to do, I think maybe being wirelessly connected to my TV behind me might have been causing some problems. I don't really know, but I am going to.
Pixar, will you stop already?
What's that? Okay, let me go into presentation mode. Okay, and let me share my screen. Okay. I must say, I've had some things go wrong during the middle of a meeting before, but not a full power outage. So that was pretty fun.
I think we're going to have to go onto user voice and suggest to Microsoft they start a Microsoft Power company called Microsoft Power to match Microsoft Power platforms. And that way, we know there will be a 99% uptime.
Billy, I love your confidence in us to provide all services. Okay, I think I have fully recovered at this point. Are y'all seeing welcome to the team?
Yes, I feel welcome.
Okay. All right. So now the one last thing I'm going to try to get going, I don't really need. All right, there we go. So when I say welcome to the team, man, do I mean welcome to the team. So look at these numbers. And are y'all seeing the slide that says Teams adoption update?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So this time last year, we had 9,000 Teams users in the state of Texas, including Texas state agencies and City of Austin. These are rough kind of figures. It's not exactly that, but look at the growth that we have had. We now have 92,000 Teams users in the state of Texas, Texas agencies, and the city of Austin. This is just such an amazing testament to the hard work that all of us on this community have done, your IT groups, if you're not in IT, have done, your governance groups, your security groups, your leadership. And we have really given people what they needed, which was a way to work remotely. And it has been a huge challenge and a huge transition for all of us to go from being people who met in our offices, we worked with the people, we went out to lunch with the people, and to all of a sudden, one day, our bosses said, go home. But we'll most likely be back in a couple of weeks. What was that, like 11 months ago? And so there's been this massive change. And so I wanted to invite Sarah Jackson on the line. Sarah is actually my boss's boss's boss, or maybe my boss's 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 boss. But so Sarah is this amazing individual who came over to Microsoft, and her goal was to start a customer success unit. And she worked for another company before, and their loss, and I mean big time, she came and joined us, and she has really launched customer success in state and local government. And we've had a pretty big transition that has occurred because we had all of the there used to be called TAMs, technical account managers, who would do kind of the break fix support and trouble tickets and things along that line, and some proactive services. Well, we brought them under Sarah's organization. And so, like your agencies, we had these mergings of groups. Everybody was working differently. We had expectations of people that we had not had before. So people really had to rise to the occasion. And Sarah, I would love to just kind of talk through, what was it like doing that transition, not only to everybody on the planet going remote, but then also changing their job roles.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael. And by the way, Michael is all of our boss, so don't let him fool you. But no, this is just such a pleasure to be with all of you. And my gosh, how can anybody follow Billy? That's an incredible demo. But it's so funny to be with you all today, and for Michael's intro there, just talking about the transition given the pandemic. And my last flight actually was to visit with Michael and some of the state of Texas agencies. So I was in Austin and Houston for some of our customers there as well. And I think that Michael was like March 6th or something. And that was the last flight that I've taken since. So yeah, a lot of things have really changed. So just again, by way of introduction, I'm Sarah Jackson, and I do lead the customer success organization for state and local government for Microsoft. And like Michael said, kind of our interpretation of customer success, because that can mean a lot of different things. But how we look at that is we just want to make sure that customers understand what they have access to and realize value for what they're spending money on. We know that kind of the way we bundle a lot of these cloud services and capabilities and technologies, there's a lot in there. Sometimes you know what you have and sometimes you don't. So experts like Michael make sure that we work with you so that you have, full understanding of what you have and how you can use it. And that really goes across all of our Microsoft cloud services, including Azure. So all of the workloads associated with data and artificial intelligence and infrastructure, as well as all of the modern work capabilities like M365, as well as Dynamics, which is our packaged applications. But it's a pretty unique interpretation of customer success. Different technology companies have a role that might be called the same thing or kind of similar. But Microsoft's invested a lot in this. We have 250 people to be exact, just focused on US state and local government. And that includes also the folks that look after kind of system health and the support side of things too. So many of you have unified support or support agreements. So if anything goes wrong, which we know, technology can play tricks on us sometimes, but making sure that you have access to all of those proactive and reactive services too. And like Michael said, I joined Microsoft, I guess it's been about 3.5 years when they created this new team called Customer Success. And my entire career has been spent working with public sector customers, so state, local, federal. And I just was so impressed with the investment, the commitment that Microsoft was making to this space. And just seeing all of you on this call today and seeing the rapport with Michael and how we've gone from, I think, what you say, 9,000 Teams users to 80,000. And, more importantly, even than the numbers and just the pride in which we have and seeing all of you and hearing Billy's enthusiasm. It's really, what we've all been through in the last year with COVID and our teams and, not only just trying to keep people together and keep people engaged and connected, but, trying to help each other with our mental health and just not, going completely stir crazy, working from home and teaching kids on the side and, just experiencing such a limited lifestyle than I think a lot of us are used to, not to mention, the illness and everything that the pandemic has kind of brought to us. But really kind of seeing Teams as such a support mechanism for that. I'm sure many of you have tried with your teams to have, the happy hours and things we're doing internally. We have bingo. We had bingo last night, actually. The team's done some really fun music Jeopardy sessions. We've done book clubs. We're doing a leadership. You guys are in Texas. I'm in Washington, D.C., by the way. But Brene Brown, one of your Texas hometown girls, we're doing a leadership book club around one of Brene Brown's books right now. We're also doing Black History Month, like we're having a movie watch party. Then we'll get together and discuss the movie afterwards. And we're also leveraging Teams for all of our employee resource groups, whether it's any of the disability groups or just our affinity groups like our OLA, which is our Latino group, Blacks at Microsoft, which is BAM. Just making sure that all of those tight connections and groups of people that, we all lean on each other all the time, but Teams is not exactly the same as being there in person, but it really has helped us just culturally kind of stay together and hopefully stay connected to all of you and your customer organizations as well. But anyway, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, Michael, but just thrilled to be here with this group.
And I'd love to ask you some a little bit more specific questions. When we really approached the CSAM role, so the ones that used to be technical account managers, and we said, look, we know that what you used to do was kind of the break fix. You were the eyes and ears from our customers into the support organization and into the engineering organization to get deep technical answers when something wasn't working quite right, and then take them and transform part of their role into an adoption role and into kind of the role that I have, and really looking at the whole ecosystem, which is so huge. When you look at how you bring a group of people and you modernize, like you retrain them, you want to bring them into a new way of approaching their customer. So for the state of Texas, that would be our agencies or our coworkers. How does Microsoft senior leadership think about making that sort of transformation?
Yeah. And I'm sure, many of you have similar experiences when you kind of revamp a role or have a reorg or, kind of transitioning a model within your business. And something that we talk about a lot, and sometimes we do a better or worse job of it, but is if we're adding something, what do you take away? And so we try to think about these roles if we are expanding one aspect of the role. So really trying to allow the role that Michael was referring to help with adoption and some of the use cases and really getting deeper within the SLG industry. So some of you are HHS, some might be transportation, et cetera, making sure that we're as prepared as possible to understand your business So for those roles, because we were asking them to kind of go deeper, kind of have a bigger, broader picture of your organization so that they can pull the right resources in to help you at the right time, we took away, or we're kind of reducing their focus on some of the reactive support. And I don't want that to panic you, because we've invested in another role to really be primarily responsible for that reactive piece. And that we're still kind of in transition with this, because the kind of the transformation that Michael's referring to, we see it as a journey. We think it's at least about a year to kind of retrain these roles. And then, like I said, move certain functions to different parts of the organization, but that takes time to train those individuals up as well. So it's definitely, it was very well thought out, and we're, taking our time with it to make sure that everybody has the skills that they need. And culturally, the organizations, we're a pretty complex organization that really is focused on just, state and local government. And we wanted to make sure that all of those kind of surrounding roles understand our change too, because as I'm sure you've experienced, you might change one role, but if everybody around them still treats them and expects them to deliver as if they're in the old position, it doesn't work very well. So it's really been a full organizational transformation. And again, we're a little bit over halfway, I would say, but doing well.
Yeah, and to make this real for y'all, this is Craig, this is Teresa, this is Carla Hall, this is Jonathan Herbstman, this is Kathy Wywace, and oh God, I feel bad if I'm forgetting anybody, I think. Oh, and there's a new Sergey, I think it is. He's brand new. We just interacted a couple of times. But these are these amazing people that are making this transition, and I get to work really closely with them. I get to be in lots of meetings with them, and they are just amazing at the work that they're doing. But as Sarah said, we're piling all this new stuff on them. So how do we, as we shift this organization, how do we pull a few things away? And I love what you said. If you still treat them like they're in the old role, now they have two jobs. And oh my God, how many of us have taken a new job, but you're still getting all the requests from the old job? And so it's like you have two jobs. And so I'd love to chat a little bit about Brene Brown and the work that Microsoft is doing from a cultural standpoint, and Dare to Lead, and what's happening just from a top down, because a lot of our agencies, and I visit with a lot of customers about culture and what the culture that we're trying to bring about. And I love the culture of diversity, of inclusion. I have a son with disabilities. As many you guys, this community has been amazing. I spent a lot of time in the hospital in December and January. My son is doing great, by the way. Giving people that are different, not better, worse, whatever, that are different than maybe the vast majority of the people in our organization, or whatever the case might be, an opportunity to rise and reach their maximum potential, which is our mantra. That's our mission statement. How do we look? What are y'all looking at that from a cultural standpoint and transformation?
Yeah, so we have been just so fortunate to have Brene work with us as leaders, part of the leadership team before the holidays. It was like 90 minutes twice a week for about 8 weeks. And I mean, if you guys are Brene Brown fans, you just know what gold that is.
Billy, do not come off of mute, because I know that you are screaming right now, going, Brene Brown.
Yeah.
So funny story. I literally left myself on mute because I was freaking out. And I was like, oh, I hope it's Dare to Lead. It better be Dare to Lead. And he goes, Dare to Lead. And I'm like, what?
Oh yes. I've got my book. I've got all my printouts. I've got it all here.
What? You talk about investment in culture? Getting the best to do the best for the best? Is there a better thing? No, I'm pretty sure that's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I personally feel like, wow, what a gift to, just to read the book is amazing. And I listen to her podcast, but to have the personal touch and her leading us through this training. So the kind of extended leadership team did training with her before the holidays, and now we're doing it with our managers, and then we're rolling it out to all of the U.S. employees or within our U.S. sales organization. But like I think we're finishing up at the end of May. But it's, obviously huge investment, not only to get Renee's time and all the content, but the time investment, because we're doing like 90-minute a week sessions, and then you'd have the reading assignments and the prep work around that. But it's just so important, and the company is so committed to really responding to a lot of the things that we see around us right now, and just trying to make sure that work is a safe place and work is an environment that we're all creating opportunities for all of us to grow and learn and be our best. And we talk a lot about courageous leadership right now, and just how every single one of us in this organization can be more courageous leaders. There's all kinds of great techniques, but it really kind of comes down to how we communicate with each other, making space to disagree. So there's a term called a rumble. And so we put things on each other's calendars that, hey, we need a rumble on this topic. And basically it just kind of sets the space and the container to disagree, and kind of come at it like, hey, I think we're probably going to come at this from a different perspective, but I'm going to respect, what you bring to the table. You're going to respect my perspective, and we're going to kind of work through that. So that's just one example, but it really, those of you who are familiar with her work, it is just, there's so many tips and tools to I guess better connect with one another, whether we agree or not, and respecting diversity, recognizing privilege, and recognizing that it really does take empathy to work together and work, especially in the workplace. There's so many different types of people, and people have different backgrounds, and you just you really kind of have to think about where that person is coming from, and what you're bringing, and really think about empathy and the growth mindset and how you work together. So it's just an absolute gift that we are able to have this content at Microsoft, and hopefully we can share a little with you all too, or hopefully you'll kind of see the Microsoft team around you, hopefully being better communicators and more empathetic and more inclusive as well. But it's been amazing so far.
I would love to open it up. We do not have a bashful audience here, and maybe if you have a question that you'd like to ask of Sarah about that, or really kind of anything else. I'm not going to put Sarah on too much on the hot seat, but if you have a question, Sarah is in senior leadership and meets with the most senior organization inside of Microsoft, and here's an opportunity to ask something of Microsoft that you've been wanting to ask. Would anyone like to come off mute and ask a question? I've got more questions for her otherwise.
Yeah, and I would ask you all some questions too. How are your organizations doing in this virtual workplace? Because I don't know officially from like our Texas agencies what the plan is for return to work, but I suspect it's not going to be like our normal it's going to be a ways away if it ever returns. So I'm curious how you're doing and how your teams are doing.
Well,
So Fred I'm sorry, go ahead, Billy.
I can start there. As an academic medical center, we not only are responsible for, of course, our organization, our 20,000 employees, but we get quite a bit of pulse from other medical centers, as well as on the other side, state institutions in the city and area of Dallas. And what we've kind of found with our various meetings, and we even have the vice president and the governor come get their shots here and record it here, is nothing's going to be the same. And I think that is the nervousness we have. A majority of our employees have been vaccinated. But what prevents us from coming a little closer, aside from the concern about being carriers, is what does the new normal look like? We had one and now we have another one. And I know I'm going to sound like, oh my gosh, this boy doesn't stop talking about Microsoft. But I just, it's honest truth. I think that is what I'm interested in seeing from Microsoft now, telling me ahead of time what my hybrid workspace looks like. I don't think any agency can say they were untouched by A, the fact that we all left campus, but B, we were able to work without all being in the same building. And only the tallest ostriches can bury their head in the sand deep enough to ignore that data. And so I think I've read about Microsoft Viva coming our way and some of the other tools, and I see some things like the chatbot, but really leveraging the device space as the connector between, what does collaboration look like in 2023? What does collaboration look like in COVID season should that happen? And how do we bridge the gap from the individual to the conference room to the individual at home, I think is really powerful. I see a lot of things coming that way, but if you have anything to share, I promise we'll all keep it a secret. It's just between us.
Well, and Billy, you're sort of queuing up the next part of the segment, which is we're going to be talking about, where is it here? Let's see if I can get my slides to advance. Teams in 2021.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think Teams it's a testament to companies when they can be, they can see the future and without knowing they're seeing the future. And the way that Teams came out, the way that it did, how it did, really saved a ton of organizations, I'm sure. So that's what I would say. I think we're doing pretty well. We're doing better than could be expected, especially with us having all these frontline employees. But I think the biggest concern is the look to the future. Now that we have some tools to make a game plan, what does that look like now?
Yeah. So Sarah, if you don't mind, I'd like to dig in on that. And then let's explore that as we kind of move forward. And so are y'all seeing the Teams in 2021 slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. And let me see if my pen will work here. It does. Okay. So when we started on this journey together, and when I was meeting with Texas Parks and Wildlife, when the pandemic started, and was working with Jose when he was over there, and Star, and Arnie and George, and we're like, hey, we need to do our meetings that used to be in our public meetings, public facing, legally required meetings. We need to do those now virtually. So how are we going to do that? And I would have a conversation about live events. And okay, I like live events, but it's hard. And it was really challenging to do that. And Parks and Wildlife, more than any other organization, leaned in early and actually pulled it off. And we did all kinds of practicing and everything. But what we recognize is that it's too hard. And so what I'm going to show you is the roadmap for what is coming this quarter. And it's going to be added to Teams. And Sarah, I think I've got you spotlighted. Let me unspotlight you.
I removed it. We're good.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. And so what I'm going to show is what's coming this quarter. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what's coming next quarter, but that's NDA. And y'all all have an NDA with me, but this video goes on YouTube. And so we're going to talk a little bit about it, but I can't get into too much detail. And I can meet with your organizations separately and can share those details. So let's get started. Like I said, big events, virtual events were hard. And so we have made a lot of changes so that now town halls, webinars, media broadcasts, conferences, all of this is going to be integrated into the Teams platform. And when I say Teams platform, I am not talking about Teams and live events. We are actually going to be bringing together Teams and live events, and it will just be Teams now. Live events has some great functionality for a very large scale, but it was a pretty challenging user interface. And so what we're going to be going to is that if you need to have a registration site and email and support structured attendee management, that's going to be built into the platform. When I was working with Star and Jose, and we built a Microsoft form, and we used Power Automate early on for people to register and send them an acknowledgement like Billy showed last month. It was hard. And so now it's just going to be built into the platform. We're also going to have the ability to have a much more kind of that newscaster thing that I was doing at the beginning. That's going to be built in so that we can actually have a really, I think, a more engaging user experience with regard to the overlay of the presenter over the slides. And we are also going to be scaling Teams meetings from all the way from 10 attendees up to 20,000 attendees. So what's going to happen is, as y'all all remember, over the last year, we've gone from, I think, oh gosh, it was something like 150 simultaneous attendees. It is now, it's published that it's 300. It's actually 350, and we confirmed that with TxDOT the other day. They had a meeting with about 345 people in it. And so it will scale up to 1,000 simultaneous attendees. Now, you might be saying to yourself, 1,000 people coming off the mute. We are also putting in some capabilities I'll go into in just a second that are going to help you kind of manage that experience, so that we don't have embarrassing moments or people coming off mute saying things you don't want them to say. Oh, sorry. And the last thing, the attendee report, which right now is available, it's a V1. It's bad. You have to do it during the meeting. It's bad. And so version 2 of the attendee reporting is going to be coming out with a much deeper insight. It can be done after the meeting. It can only be done by the organizer or someone who is delegated to be able to have that privilege. And so it is controlled, but it will be much more information rich moving forward as to who attended, what their interactions, when they left. And so a lot better information. We're, as I said, going to be optimizing the experience to have a meeting that is 1,000 people like what we're doing right now, where people can come off mute, you got the interactive chat. However, when you have the 1,001th, and I don't know if that's a word, but person join the meeting, they'll actually basically seamlessly go into a live meeting style experience. And so they will not be able to come off a mute. You can enable a chat for them if you want to, or they can just be in a listen only mode. We are also significantly enhancing the integration to things like streaming services. It's possible now using OBS or other streaming platform integrators, but it'll just be dead easy to use Facebook streaming or YouTube streaming or other streaming services. And so that will just be built into the platform. We'll also be including real-time polls and surveys in making the webinars more interactive. I know in GCC, we have been waiting for polls. I just found out earlier today, polls will be coming. It'll be coming in Q1. And so we'll actually have the polling capability built into the Teams platform. And when I say Q1, I'm talking about until March 31st. And so the other thing is that we have an experience that we call the pre-meeting, the during meeting, and the post-meeting experience. So what's important about that is when you look at like one of the other platforms like Zoom or WebEx, which are fantastic video conferencing platforms and are really great competitions for us and help us be better, what you have is you have the experience during the meeting. What you don't have is the experience where prior to the meeting, we're going to set up a team site, or we're going to schedule the meeting. We're going to have chat available in the meeting. We're going to surface documents up that we're going to use during the meeting. We're going to collaborate on those documents and make sure they where they need to be. We'll create polls before the meeting, and then we'll have the meeting. And during the meeting, we've got the chat. We have the transcription services, the audio conferencing integration. We'll have the captioning, multilingual captioning, and so all of this is going on during the meeting. And then after the meeting, you have all these reports, you have the follow-up. So it will be a whole meeting experience on top of the fact that it does all the collaboration and the other things that are outside of just a video conferencing platform. The registration, this guy kind of made a mention to this earlier, so you can have people register for it. You can add custom questions to gather additional information. So a nice integrated registration, so it won't be some kind of bolt-on thing. And then we'll also be able to have better roles, so a little bit more granular control over who can present, who manages the meetings. We can disable chat for meetings, only require video. And then we have a thing called hard mute that is in the platform today, where if you create a meeting, you can say that attendees cannot come off of mute. Now, I love the fact that we come off of mute during these meetings. I think it's great. And so we wouldn't do that in this type of community. But if we had 1,000 people on the call, then we might hard mute everyone except for those that we have designated as presenters for the organizer. And we'll also be able to have, this is what a view called dynamic view, where you have the content here and you're able to have individuals that are listed there. As earlier, I spotlighted Sarah so that she was visible the whole time. And so you can even pin an individual so that we can have ASL, so we can have the sign language interpretation. And so that's going to be coming in the future as well. During the meeting, we already have all kinds of good analytics. And in fact, we had a conversation, Fred and I were having a conversation about analytics and the Power BI reports that are available that can really show what's going on behind the scenes in the meeting experience and the collaboration experience. But that is something that is after the fact. This is real-time analytics during the meeting itself. So let you know what's going on, let you know where people are attending from, and just more statistics for the administrators actually during a meeting to make sure that things are going as you want them to go. This is particularly important for our big public meetings when more is on the line. You have your commissioners presenting, or you're legally required to actually have this meeting come off of that hitch. So from a recap standpoint, this is what is coming in either that's generally available now, or is coming in Q1 calendar year 21. So that means between now and March. So we already have the mute all attendees. That's the hard mute. We have the polls, adding polls to meetings. That is not available in GCC. It's in the commercial cloud. It will be coming to GCC. And so I always get frustrated with the lag. The lag has gotten shorter, but it's still there. PowerPoint integration. So right now, like I'm having to kind of do some trickery with multiple screens and have the PowerPoint on one side and Teams on the other, because if you go full screen with PowerPoint, you lose the ability to see what's going on. So we're going to fix that. And then we already have the raise hand and reaction. So you can raise your hand up. We have the live emojis, so you're actually seeing the hearts or the clapping hands go over the screen. So things that are coming, things that we talked about: 1,000-person events, app sharing, polling and reactions, registration and email, host controls. So a lot more safety, security, and moderation around that. 20,000-person view-only broadcasts. So really scale this to the highest level. And if you needed to have 150,000 people attend your meeting, then you could just stream it seamlessly over Facebook or another live streaming platform. And then the presenter layouts and the spotlights, and then the attendee reporting. So those are all of the things that are going to be coming this quarter. There is more that will be coming next quarter. I've sort of grayed this out, and you might be able to see a few things in there, but I've purposely made it a little hard to read just for legal purposes. But again, I can have a meeting with y'all, and we can go through and we can talk about what's coming next. Speaking of what's coming next, Billy made a mention of it. If you have not heard the announcement about Microsoft Viva, this is an employee experience platform. A lot of the components that are in the Microsoft stack today, a lot of these things already exist. So the things like workplace analytics, I think I showed that a couple of meetings ago, where I got this analytics about am I scheduling focus time? Am I working after hours? Am I multitasking during my meetings? So that information is available. And so we're now providing that back. And as Sarah made mention, this isn't so Big Brother can watch you. It is so that we can make sure that people are having a balanced work experience, so that they're not being overloaded, so that we can make suggestions, and we can basically provide training if people are not using some of the technologies. And so all of this will be revealed over time and expanded over time. But Microsoft Viva was the big announcement about our employee experience platform and ecosystem. And so there'll be 4 components to that, and they'll be rolling out over the next year. Very exciting things. I think it will probably make some people very nervous. And so we'll want to have some conversations about what that means to your organization, and why that's a good thing, or why that's something that y'all would not want to use. So let me back up. All right, so I've been using this analogy, and some of y'all, I think I've used this with a couple of y'all already because I've been in meetings with y'all. So let me stop sharing my slides real quick. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Are y'all seeing me on the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, although it's choppy, it kind of
Froze.
freezes.
I see
Okay.
your car. Okay.
It caught back
Does
up,
it-
Mike. You're good.
Does
Yes,
anybody?
Back to the Future car.
All right. So I meet with a lot of y'all, and I've been asked a lot of really good questions about, hey, look, we use WebEx today. And I was meeting with Ann Sellison. It was about 6 months ago, maybe 9 months ago. And she was saying, hey, we got this big event coming up. And should I use Live Event? And it was about 2 weeks away. And I said, no, Ann, you really shouldn't. Like, Parks and Wildlife has been practicing for a month for their big public event. You don't have the time. It puts too much risk. It's too much stress for your team. Just stick with WebEx. And the reason I said that was because it was hard. It was just, things were, you're bolted on. It was hard to do. And so there have been so many improvements over the last 9 months. And when you think about Teams as a video conferencing platform, and you look at that compared to Zoom or WebEx, a year ago, we really weren't competing with them. There were so many features that were missing. And what I'm seeing now is we have really caught up, or we're about to catch up, looking at that roadmap for the next quarter. And so when you compare video conferencing platforms to each other, I really feel like we're getting pretty much to feature parity. And now what we're going to find is it's going to be like Apple and Android, where, oh, I just added this new feature. Oh, okay, well, now I have that feature. Oh, I added this feature. Now I have that feature. And so it's going to be a kind of a competition of features. And I don't like, y'all know me, I'll talk about features and kind of show you how this works and that works, but I like to talk about transformation. And so the reason I have this car is that when you think about Zoom and WebEx, they are a video conferencing platform, and Teams is a video conferencing platform. But what is this car? This is a car, but what does this car also do? Who can tell me what this car also does?
Goes back to the future.
Time travel.
Time travels.
Time travel.
That's right. This car travels through time. Now, I am not saying that Teams can travel through time, but what I am saying
I'm pretty sure you
is
did.
what I am saying, and I really mean this, is that Teams can take your agency with a lot of technical debt and a lot of legacy applications and can modernize the work experience that your employees have. Now, the thing about this car that was so hard, and the thing about Teams that was so hard, is you had to bolt on so much stuff to make Teams work well. Do y'all remember the movie? This little hook had to hit the cable so that 1.21 gigawatts could go through that cable at 80 miles an hour, and Marty McFly was driving, and if he got
88.
this hook, 88, oh, thank you, 88 miles an hour, and if he hit this hook at that exact moment before it popped off, he would go forward in time. There you go, exactly. Great Scott, and what does he say? Watson, what was I thinking? Or, and so now, who recognizes this car?
That's the
Anybody
one with the
recognize
Mr. Fusion at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I've got some geeks in my audience. I love it. So this is where we're going, okay? No longer are we going to need the bolt-ons. No longer are we going to need the hook. We're not going to need the 1.21 gigawatts at just the right exact time and hope that everything works perfectly. We're going to pull over. We're going to pour some beer and some bagels and shove a few things into the Mr. Fusion thing here, and that's going to power the flux capacitor. And so the reason that I have not been willing to share my shirt and the big reveal is our theme for 2021. So let me share my screen again. All right. Our theme for 2021 and my shirt is roads where we're going. We don't need roads. So this is going to be our theme for next year. around how are we going to transform the work that our agencies do, and how are we going to use Teams and Office 365 and the magic that Billy is going to show us to accomplish really modernizing our agencies and the way we work together and the way we collaborate and the way that we do live events and meetings, and how are we going to use this platform to connect with people and to stay integrated as a team and have fun together and feel like we're still a team and like we're still getting together, even though we're maybe separate. And how are we going to use Teams to create that? There is no going back to work. I heard a saying the other day, we're going to go forward to work. It will never be the same. We're not all going to huddle up in meeting rooms with 20, 30 people in them in the foreseeable future. But maybe we're going to have this kind of hybrid work experience where some of us are at the office, some of us are remote. And what we don't want to have is that the people that are remote are a second-class citizen to the meeting. And so we're going to have these amazing integrated meeting experiences and conference room experiences. And all of this is going to be made possible on this platform. And so, yeah, Teams isn't a time machine, but we are going to use it to modernize the way that we all get to work together. And that's our theme for 2021. Now, we're not quite done, so I don't want anybody to hang up, but I want to get a little bit of feedback. What do you guys think about that as a theme for next year?
Very cool.
All right. I love this movie. And it's, if you're a child of the 80s like I am, then, it probably holds a special place in your heart. And Michael J. Fox and the professor and everybody else, or Doc. So I'm pretty excited about this. The things that are coming, we're going to do a lot of enablement and training. We're going to use the Start for Teams methodology, and we're going to really help y'all around communication, around learning, because y'all have built the foundation. You've deployed Teams. You've got it rolled out. For most of you, you have most of your organization, 70+% of your organization using Teams. Now it's time to take it to the next level, get people using additional features, get people communicating more effectively, and give the communication departments and the leadership the ability to communicate to people using Teams. Put in learning environments, working with Greg and his team, but then also using some of the learning tools that come with your subscription. And then we're going to start looking at the digital transformation, the things that Billy is showing us, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, making it so that people don't have to answer the phone and repeat themselves over and over and over again, but really give people an opportunity to do inspirational work and do their best work because they're not just being burdened with the same things over and over again. So that's where we're headed. Now, one of the things that we've got to do before we can get there is we need to modernize part of our infrastructure. And part of that is Skype for Business. And Mark Attmore is with us. He is one of our FastTrack architects, and he is going to be talking about an offering that is included with your subscription and your relationship with Microsoft called FastTrack, and helping y'all get off of Skype and onto a more modern platform. So Mark, are you with us?
I am. Thanks so much, Michael, and thanks everyone for giving us your time this afternoon. Hopefully we can get a little bit of additional information to you about the FastTrack program and some places we might be able to help your team moving forward this year. So as Michael said, I'm a modern work architect at Microsoft, focusing on state and local government exclusively. So part of the team here supporting the state of Texas. One of the things that we're talking a little bit about with a lot of our customers right now is the changes that are upcoming around Skype for Business Online. So as most of you are probably aware, at the end of July, so summertime this year, it seems really, really far away, given we're so cold here in February, but we know it'll be here before we know it. But at the end of the month of July, we're going to be end of life for Skype for Business Online. And what that really means is that you want to be taking some time with your organizations today and thinking about ways that you can take the leap with us to join and leverage a lot of those great features that Billy and Michael and the whole team were talking about here today on the call. And part of the role of our team in FastTrack is to enable our customers to jump into those new cloud technologies, to leverage the different pieces of the modern work platform. And we are an included benefit to you as part of your Office 365, Microsoft 365 subscription. For any customer with 150 seats or more of those technologies, we can help with guidance around a number of different components of our platform. Most specifically
Mark, if
today.
I just say real quick,
Sure.
if someone is smaller than that, we can help you too. This fast track benefit is just 150 or more, but we can help you if you're smaller than that. So please don't worry. I don't mean through the fast track program, but we have some really good guidance around how to turn off Teams and how to do it. Skype, and do it in such a way that it doesn't impact your users. Sorry about that, Mark.
No, great point. Thank you for calling that out. So we are completely designed around, like I mentioned, helping folks to get to the cloud. Really, when you think about what FastTrack is, it's a collection of people. We have subject matter experts in a number of different technology areas. We have a whole host of tools that are oriented around getting you to the cloud, transitioning from Skype for Business Online to Teams for this. And additionally, you can think of us as a purveyor of best practices, right? We work closely with the product teams. We work closely with Microsoft. Many of our customers, we've done this with a huge population, and we're bringing those and trying to magnify and leverage them with many other customers. So specifically today, I'm here to talk a little bit about the Skype for Business Online transition. And Michael, if you wouldn't mind jumping to that next slide.
I did, but it may be taking a second. There we go.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. So as you're thinking about that transition, we can assist you with that process of understanding what the key components are there from a coexistence perspective, from a planning perspective, all the different things that you want to think about. We can help to guide you through those thoughts and those decisions and some of the best practices that we've seen in working with our clients, and walk you through that process and guide you through that process. So we are available to you. I wanted to make sure the team was aware of that. We can get into different pieces of conversation around those mitigation blockers, those blockers that you have today, and how you might mitigate those, how you might look at considering moving forward. And like I mentioned, our team is a resource that's available to you as part of your included benefit. We'd love to help you through that process. And we'll take a look. One more slide here, Michael. I think we're getting toward the end of the day, so I'm going to jump through fairly quickly. But essentially, if you wanted to engage with our team and get some additional assistance, we are available through fasttrack.microsoft.com. You would sign in with an organization ID, meaning part of your Office 365 subscription. When you do that, you can request Fast Track assistance, and that will be routed to my team for engagement through some of our Fast Track team members, including some of our subject matter experts. So should you need anything, feel free to reach out through our team that way, and we'd be glad to assist you.
And just, I think Joy just put that in there. So this is a service where we really work with your IT department, but we're also, Mark and his team will work with your IT department from the technical approach to turning off Skype and the transition planning that needs to happen there. I will work with your business groups, your communication groups, business relationship management, whichever groups that really are going to communicate this out. We have a whole series of communication emails about this. We have a training platform that is free that we can implement. It's included. We can implement that into your environment so that as you are broadcasting that we're going to be turning this off, and you've got a bunch of people using Skype today, that you can actually point them and here's the training for Teams, because there are some people that are a little bit behind the curve on adopting Teams, and that's okay. We're going to help them. So just know that we'll work as a team, one Microsoft approach. But if I just want to encourage y'all, if your IT group is not on this call, let them know about this. Don't go sign up yourself if you're not in IT, because this is really more for us to engage with IT. If you are one of your leaders, or again, you think you are the right person, please go ahead and do this. And then we'll reach out to you, and then we'll work with y'all and make sure that we get y'all where we need to be. Mark, thank you so much for covering that. I want to invite y'all to fill out an evaluation. If you use your smartphone and point it at that, or you can go to aka.ms/TX Teams Community Eval. We'd love to get your feedback on this particular session. I'd love to get your feedback on the different topics that we had. And then if there are any topics that you would like to cover in the near future, then we are always open to ideas. Each episode, we are planning to have a little bit about this is what's coming, or this is some new thing. And so really helping you understand more about Teams. We'll have a story from the field, and then we'll have It's Billy Time. And so thanks everybody for joining. I really just love this community. Happy birthday, happy 1-year anniversary to this group. This is the, I think today, a year ago, we had our first meeting. So it has just been an amazing journey with y'all, and who could have anticipated the amount of change we've been through? But y'all are all amazing, and I appreciate you being part of our community. And I'll look forward to visiting with some of you over the next few weeks, and I will see all of you back here in March. Thanks, y'all. Have a great afternoon.
Michael,
Yes.
so glad to hear that your son is doing better too. So very good news. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much. He went through a lot, and
Yeah.
so